So the first thing to note is that we are providing a unified platform for your registrar. They're not going to have multiple logins. They're not going to have to go into another location with another username and password to access registration data. It's a single streamlined admin experience. Next, let's take a look at our online forms and how they'll appear to families. And to do that, I'm actually going to go ahead and start with the preview link. This will allow us to move through the form without having to submit all the information that would be required on the live form. I'm initially taken to this introduction page. The content here is going to be fully customizable. So it's up to you to include whatever information you want families to see when they access this page. Additionally, the branding would be customized to your school district. Before we actually get into looking at the various fields on the form, one thing I want to point out is this entire our entire registration platform is mobile responsive, meaning families can complete this on any device, tablet, mobile phone, what have you. I'm going to use this tool in my browser to actually show. You can see right here how this form would show, say, on a Galaxy S5. You can see that it's streamlined, very easy to use, very easy to access for families. If I switch to, say, an iPhone 6 or an iPad or a tablet, you can see how the form changes to meet the platform that's being used. On the live form, when your existing families, your returning students access the form, some of this information, such as first name, last name, date of birth, maybe their grade in school, are going to be pre-populated and read-only. So families aren't going to be able to come in and just change the grade or school that the student is enrolled in. For new students, they may come into the form and be completing that from scratch. Fields marked as such, as required, are going to be required for families to complete the form, as you would expect. We also incorporate validations. So if I come in and enter in, say, a phone number without an area code, I get the message that the phone number has been entered in an incorrect format, and it's going to ask me to enter that in the correct format. So you don't have to worry about getting incomplete or inaccurate phone numbers. Throughout the form, I'll be pointing out information that's collected here, but it's obviously extremely customizable. We're going to construct the form to your specific needs. For instance, on this new student page, this might be something that you would show if you're collecting information from students new to the district. You might not even include this if it's just for returning students. We can conditionally show or require fields based on how families have responded on the form or based on information that we've collected. So if the student has never attended school previously, great. If they have, we can ask for complete and require complete information about the school, what school they attended, and maybe any special services that they've included. And again, what you collect is up to you. In terms of things like ethnicity and race, or say a home language survey, those are going to be customized to your state requirements. So we're going to collect all of that information the way that you need it. For family information, we can collect this in a number of different formats. You see here, I'm kind of collecting information for the mother and then the father. You could also collect this maybe as parent guardian 1 and then parent guardian 2. It's up to you. We can conditionally require fields to ensure that you're getting full information and the information you need. So for instance, here we're not necessarily automatically requiring both the mother and the father's information because the student may be in a single parent family. But we can ask a question: who does the student live with? If it's both parents, we can then require the information from both parents, both mother and father. If I change it up and indicate that the student lives with the mother only, Now just the mother's information is required and the father's is not. And we can build that kind of logic in throughout the form. Same thing with, say, emergency contacts. You may require that the family provide at least one emergency contact, and all that information is required. But if I start entering in information for a second contact, all of a sudden, automatically, all of the information for that second contact becomes required. You don't have to ever worry about a family entering in contact information without a phone number or without the appropriate information that you need to determine, the relationship of that person to the student. We can collect medical information. Yours may be more extensive than this. If a student does indicate that they have a medical condition, we can require that they provide additional information. One great option is the ability to collect information, from families pertaining to things that might be somewhat outside of the registration process. PTA memberships, the ability to make a donation directly through the form. We can collect, say, payments, either a registration fee, or if families wanted to, say, make a donation to your district's foundation, they could do this directly through the form, and they would be charged at the end of the form. We can also report on this, so in the administrative workspaces, if you needed at any point to pull a report listing every family who's indicated interest in the PTA and distribute that out, it would be very easy to do so. Agreements, for instance, whether the student can agree to a handbook or technology use agreement. This is also great for collecting things like a photo use agreement or media use. Whether the family gives permission to be contacted by third parties, like institutions of higher education. You can then, again, report on that very easily so that you can pull a list of any student who has declined that at any point. We also offer the ability for families to upload documents. So as you can see, if you're requiring things like a birth certificate or proof of residency, family can actually upload documents right here through the form, and then those will be attached to the parent record, attached to the student record for your verification in the administrative workspaces. Again, another great way to go paperless, to remove the burden on your registrars from, uploading or scanning that in. You can put that on the families. At the end, we can include an electronic signature with the legal content of your choice. There's a review and submit page where families can ensure that they filled out all required fields. On a live form, any field that was required and had yet to be completed would be called out. The family would not be able to submit until all of this had been completed. This is a great opportunity to also highlight our end user family support. We do have live phone and chat support for families as they're working on the forms, as well as a help desk built right into the form that they can access right here through our help link. So any questions, general technical questions or challenges with completing the form would be directed to our team and not to you. Again, as mentioned, we can collect fees through the form. This is just a sort of a mock-up of how that would look to a family. And they can pay that through credit card or choose to pay offline. And then on the last page, they're given a confirmation. You can indicate any next steps here and link to any documents that families may need to fill out offline, such as something that needs to be notarized by a third party, or maybe a physician's form that needs to be filled out. I'm going to log in as the parent of student Xavier Abraham. You can see I have a link built right into the PowerSchool parent portal. I click on Annual Information Update. And I'm here in the form for Xavier. When I click Next, you can see that the information is already pre-populated. Things like name and date of birth and grade and school are going to be read-only. I can see them, but I can't change them. But other information, like say the doctor's name, is pre-populated but editable. And then we can, and then that information will be updated in the SIS when we deliver that record back to PowerSchool. So I'm going to navigate back to the registration admin portal, and I'm going to click in what we call the submission workspace. And you can see here I'm in the submission workspace in what we call the pending approval view. So I can see these are my students who are awaiting review of their registration data. This dashboard here is going to be totally customizable, so what information you want to show on this screen is up to you. I'm going to go ahead and drill down into the record for Amanda Adams. On the right-hand side, I can see what was pre-populated into the form. On the left-hand side, I can see what was provided by the family and note any changes. The big customization that we're going to build into this workspace is your specific approval criteria. What needs to happen to a student record before it's been appropriately reviewed by your administrators and is ready to go back into the SIS? And we can customize that for even new versus returning students, since they might have different steps. Let's take a look at one example. So I'm looking at Amanda's record. The first thing maybe I want to do is make sure that the data that was submitted is in the format that I want it. I want it to look good before it goes back to the SIS. I can see here that the address is in lowercase. It's not abbreviated the way that I want it. So what I want to do is first polish that data. Now, normally this is something that will be done automatically and set up and turned on automatically, so you won't even need to perform this step. But just for demonstration purposes, let's go ahead and polish. And you can see now automatically the address has been updated to the appropriate formatting. We can do the same thing with proper casing names, formatting of phone numbers, dates, anything that you want to be really formatted correctly, we can set that up for you. The next factor might be if a student has indicated an address change, I need to review that student's proof of residency. Well, I can see here that the address has changed. We can actually include an automated tag based on that fact so that you'll know up front that the address has changed. I can scroll down and find the uploaded documents associated to the student. Remember those documents that were uploaded on the form. Pull up the proof of residency. It's already going to be automatically, when I download it, labeled with the student's name and student ID. And I can see if this were, say, vehicle registration, fishing license, any sort of state ID, a copy of that, whatever you use as your appropriate residency documents, they could include here. They could even, on their phone, if they were filling it out on a mobile device, take a picture of it, and it'd be available for you here to download. I review it. I say our address change is verified. Uncheck the pending status, and now the record is eligible for approval. So the idea is we've now built in the appropriate checks to make sure that only the students are only being delivered back to your SIS after they've been appropriately validated and verified. And what those steps are completely up to you.